Today we are looking at two articles and comparing the articles to see what information we can gather from multiple sources. When we look at multiple sources, we want to look at the information that is presented and try to compare and contrast what things are similar, what things are different, and how the two things are related. It's really important that when we read two articles, we read them at least twice. First, we read it to understand what we're reading, and then we're going to read it to compare what we know. So I'm going to go ahead first and read the first time. Then you will read it by yourself, and then we will answer the questions presented. So let's start with our unravel. I'm going to give you about 1 minute to underline the title, and then N, predict the passage. I'd like you to do this with both passages. Go. Alrighty, so you should have underlined the title. And I'm going to go ahead and underline it now. So we have incredible animal ears, and we also have animal sound. So I think that these two passages are going to be about the sounds we hear and the sounds that animals hear, and the difference between the levels of sound, because what I know about sound is that there's different levels, and I think this is going to talk about the levels that animals are able to hear. Next, we're going to run through a number. So our first passage has 4 paragraphs. Our next passage has 4 paragraphs as well. The next phase of unravel is to A, are you reading the questions? So I have one of the questions down here that says use the chart below to organize your ideas. Explain how the description of hertz in animal sounds develops an idea in incredible animal ears. Use details from each source to support your response. So I see this word support, and I'm going to circle it here, because support for us means back it up. I also see the word description, and that reminds me of describe. Tell me all about it. I see the word hertz, the title animal sounds, and the title incredible animal ears. So I have identified those things in the questions as important things to know and think about. There is also more questions in your packet. I'd like you to take about 1 minute and go through your 2 questions and unravel the important words in your 2 questions. Go. Each student should be identifying important words in their questions. You should be circling words that are going to help you identify the information in the passage. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is now we're going to identify important text features. And that's A, are the important words circled? So this is really exciting. We have some great text features in these articles, and these text features are really going to help us understand what we're reading. I see this picture of an elephant, and I know that when we're talking about passages, we talk about pictures using the words illustration. So we have an illustration of an elephant. We also have a box here that says close reading habits. What special terms related to sound are used in this source? Reread the sound source. Circle at least 2 special terms. Okay, that's good to know. Next, in this animal sound passage, we have a great visual here. This visual is showing us some different information about ultrasonic and infrasonic structures. We see the range of hearing. It's also giving us animals in each category. So I think this is a great use of information. Next, we have our closed reading habit box. Here we have the first source introduces the idea of hertz. How does the second source help you understand the idea? Reread the sources and underline the sentence in both sources and circle the details in the diagram that explain hertz to the reader. So we're thinking about the word hertz, and we're thinking about the understanding of the sound. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and venture through the passage. Incredible animal ears. Elephants storm across a hot African desert towards a source of water. Suddenly, they stop. Their ears open up wide and appear to hear distant sounds, and yet humans observing the scene nearby hear nothing. What is happening? Actually, the elephants are hearing sound, but it is at a pitch so low that humans can't detect it. We call this low-pitch infrasound. Scientists first discovered this sound by using a machine called a spectrograph. This machine recorded the sound and charted them so scientists could study them along with elephant behaviors. These scientists concluded that the low sounds were actually warning sounds from another herd. The deepest rumbling sounds measure between 1 and 20 hertz, way below the sound of human ears can detect. These infrasonic calls can mean different things, such as, "Hello, I'm here," "Help, I'm lost," "Keep away," or "Danger ahead." Scientists continue to study the sounds that elephants make. It's not an easy task. So far, they have discovered 70 different sounds that they use for different situations. That's so interesting. I'd like you now to go through and find any special terms that are related to sound. You need to circle these terms once you hear it. I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to reread that passage and circle any words that have to do with sound. Okay, so some of the important terms regarding sound that I read started as early as paragraph 1. I see here infrasound. This word is an important term that talks about sound. I also saw some other important words like hertz. 1 to 20 hertz. There was the word infrasound again. And a few more. Try to find the ones that I missed. Alright, we're going to go ahead and move on to animal sounds. We know that there's certain words like pitch, infrasound, and hertz that we read about in the first paragraph, and the sounds that humans can't hear. So when we read this passage, animal sounds, we should be thinking about how the first source talked about hertz, and how does the second source help us understand more about this word hertz, because I'm not sure what it means yet. And we are going to underline a sentence when we know more about that word and the different terms we just read. Animal sounds. Bees dance or emit smells to communicate with one another. Electric eels use electricity to communicate with one another. Horses rub noses and giraffes press their necks together. Yet one of the most important ways animals communicate is by sound. Sound travels in waves, and its pitch or frequency is measured in a unit that is called hertz. The lowest frequency a person can hear is 20 hertz, 20 cycles per second. The highest frequency we can hear is 20,000 hertz. Some animals have incredible hearing. Elephants can communicate with one another, with other elephants up to 10 miles away, using a very low infrasound that the human cannot hear. Giraffes can pick up sounds less than 20 hertz. Some whales can hear sounds as low as 10 hertz. Other types of whales, such as dolphins, mainly use high-pitched sounds. Most of these sounds are also out of range of the human ear. We call these sounds ultrasounds. Rats giggle at their ultrasound level, and squirrels warn one another of danger by making high-pitched noises. And imagine this. Bats can hear sounds that measure up to as high as 100,000 hertz. Very interesting. I heard some really important things about the term hertz and sounds in there. Please go through now and read the passage and find out what you can determine about the word hertz. Go. Saw a really important sentence in paragraph 2, and it said sound travels in waves, and a pitch or frequency is measured in units called hertz. This is really important because it tells us what the meaning of the word that we were reading about in the first paragraph tells us. Here it gives us more great information. The lowest frequency a person can hear is 20 hertz, or cycles per second. So it tells me that hertz means cycles per second. The highest frequency we can hear is 20,000 hertz. This is great information. So what we should do now is take our information that we've learned in our text and apply it to our graphic organizer. Down here on our page where we're going to write our homework response, please add details from your story to then answer your questions fully. For instance, Incredible Animal Ears tells us about the elephants and how they use hertz. That's one example. Go ahead and find more and answer your questions on your own.